with acknowledgement of country. Richmond Valley Council recognises the people of the Bundjalung Nations as custodians and traditional owners of this land, and we value and appreciate the continuing culture connection to lands, their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region in the past, present and future. Mr General Manager, could you say the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognise our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations, on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. Next item on the agenda is public access and question time. I believe we have one request for public access, and that's from Mr John Uman, speaking on item 17.1, Bushfire Assistance Recovery Funding, and he's representing the Community Disaster Advice Centre. Welcome, Mr Uman. Good to have you here, John, and make yourself at home. And you know the rules: 4 minutes, the bell will ring, and 5 if you need it. But we're pretty flexible. You're the only speaker today, so
okay.
When you're ready, go ahead, please.
Oh yes, I'm old hand. Second time round on this. That's all right. Thank you. Mayor Robert, councillors, Vaughan, General Manager, and ladies and gentlemen, I stand here representing a group of, and I'm not going to read this as it is, so excuse me, a group of community service organisations that have been helping out, as everyone else has in this, on this road to recovery during this disaster. Now, the Community Disaster Advice Centre is something that's grown out of this. In November last year, we sat in this chamber. The meeting was hosted by the Recovery Officer, Kerry, and there was quite a number of community service groups, Rotary, Lions, Red Cross, Shed of Hope and so forth. Now, what's come out of that is that after a number of meetings we worked out that cooperating together actually does work. So we came into this room in the middle of November actually with resources duplicating, not fulfilling certain things, not finding the gaps. Now, the CDAC, as the acronym stands, has been formed, and it was formed not to criticise anything that the council's already done, not to criticise anything at all, basically, but to fill a gap, to do something that wasn't available, and that is a face-to-face communication with people that felt comfortable talking to locals. Now, the group wouldn't exist without the assistance of council. So partly I'm here to thank you. To thank you because through Vaughan, through Kelly, we have a room across at the community centre, which I know doesn't come cheaply, but it's been given to us. Funnily enough, we were put there, we were allowed that access so that we could provide face-to-face access to people. We opened Monday last week, so 6 days of having people come in, average about 5 people a day. Right. It's an overwhelming number of volunteers we have, somewhere up around the 40 at the moment and growing. The issue we've got at the moment is that we can't do face-to-face from today because of this ongoing virus. So we have decided to just suspend the face-to-face at the moment. So why I'm here is part of 17.1 is the recovery of all the infrastructure and looking after communities via, rebuilding. We established the CDAC under a business model, and I'm going to request that what we're doing across the road under the name of the CDAC, if that can be looked at as part of the ongoing recovery and built into maybe what should happen in the future, If this was to have started 3 months ago, we could have overcome quite a few problems that we are now encountering. So again, not a criticism, but something that I know this doesn't exist in a lot of places, if anywhere. So I think this is a bit groundbreaking. I'm just asking that if council can consider the model to be at least assessed with the idea of incorporating it into the future recovery processes that might take place. So again, thank you for allowing us to be here and for the room.
Would you take any questions if councillors have any?
Certainly.
Any questions from anyone? No? Thank you very much for your patience, and that will be taken on board, that suggestion. Thank you very much, John. There's no questions to be asked. Next one's apologies, and we have 2 apologies, one from Deputy Mayor Steve Morris and the other one from Councillor Simpson. Can I get someone to move those, please?
Move that way.
Second?
Yeah, second.
Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. The agenda says there is no mayoral minute, councillors, but I would like to put forward a mayoral minute, and it's on the impacts on the management of the COVID-19. And you all have a copy of that in front of you that was distributed early.
Yes, correct.
And there are copies for the gallery there if anyone would like a copy on the agenda, an additional item. I'll move that recommendation, councillors, if I can get a seconder. Councillor Lyons. Councillor Lyons. Councillors, as you are aware, it's a pretty hard time that's happening all over the world. This isn't like the droughts or the bushfires or the little flood we've just had previously. This is a worldwide disaster, and I brought this to you today to so council have it on their records of what is happening and what is our community is going through and how council is responding. The reason I did not have it put in the agenda last Tuesday is because, as you know, it's very fluid, the situation, and what we put in the agenda last Tuesday would be not relevant today. So it is a light item. I apologise for that, but that's the reasoning behind it. As you can see by the report, there are many impacts on our community, and they are for the health, especially for the aged people, and how we go about protect those, and what council needs to do to respond when the federal and state governments asked us to respond, but it is mainly their issue, but we will be called on to support those agencies. The other one is the economy, and it's still unknown worldwide what that will be, but it has had a devastating effect on the stock market, people's jobs. Going forward, we don't know where we will be in people's superannuations and just everyday life of people. It's going to have a big economic effect. And also here, like operations of what we do, especially with the sale yards, what's going to happen there. We'll just have to closely monitor that. And the government are talking stimuluses, so we have to be ready to accept any grant we can get to get that money to come into our local government area to stimulate our economy. Anything outside money coming in will help everyone. The other one is social engagement, like the cancellation of many events. And I'm not just talking about the big ones like Beef Week and Primex. Last Friday, the Deputy Mayor and I went to a St Patrick's Day at St Mark's Hall. There was just over 100 people, of elderly people there, and they had a great day, and a lot of them come from the nursing home, so that will be all taken away from them. The New Italy festival they have at New Italy has been cancelled. The RFS Family Day, they were going to have to thank all the firefighters for the families, so all those things are going to be taken out of our community, And we're telling people who have been struggling from the fires and the drought to engage with people. Now we're telling them not to. So it's a mixed messages going out there, and it's going to be hard for a lot of people, especially the elderly who sit home with nothing to do now all day. So, and it's hard to say to go and visit those people, because that's the worst thing most probably that can happen to elderly people, is having a lot of visitors. So we just have to be kind to each other and not let the stupidity that's happening in supermarkets keep occurring. So, but I just want to read a couple of paragraphs out of my mayoral minute, because at home a lot of people who are watching this won't be able to have this update, but it will come out later in the minutes. As Mayor, I have significant concerns for the impacts of the COVID-19 virus may have on our community, especially the elderly and more vulnerable. It is also having an impact on businesses and our local economy. This is distressing given what the area has been through over the last 12 months with drought, bushfires and flood. I've got food on my brain. The last paragraph is what we'll need to do in the future. We will continue to monitor the situation, the general management on a daily basis, to ensure that our organisation continue to deliver the critical services we provide to our community and support our local economy to remain sustainable despite another major impact on our way of life. So, councillors, if there's anyone who would like to speak, I just have never known our council to experience so many disasters and hard times, what we're doing now, but we have to be strong and our community will follow. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Humphries?
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and thanks very much. I really appreciate the words that you've put together there. It's devastatingly important. Could I ask through you a comment from the General Manager perhaps about how Council, I noticed an email today about the Visitor Information Centres and Mr Ellam from the Library saying about the services. If I could just have a comment from the General Manager, please.
Thanks, Councillor Humphries. Look, we are meeting regularly, daily basis really at the moment, as things evolve quickly across our business. We've obviously got our business continuity plan, so we're considering what's in that, getting things in place, our IT team, making sure we've got systems in place and backup resources so that more people can work remotely if needed, people can work from home, those sorts of things, especially in our critical areas. Visitor information centres, we needed to close those today as one of our staff members was potentially affected. So that's why that step needed to be taken. As far as our libraries go, they continue to operate. We have put some, strong measures in place to minimise contact, increase hygiene across our library services. Same thing in our customer contact centre, right through our offices and all of our staff. So, regular hand washing, all those sort of key messages. So we are responding. You're reacting in a measured way. Another example, today we've obviously got sales at the NRLX tomorrow, Friday, and then next week, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, we've got the George and Foreman Weiner sales, where they expect to have potentially 5,000 head go through across 2 days. So obviously they're critical business activities for our community. So we've had discussions today with the Stock and Station agents, with other authorities, just to get advice, and some advice was issued only in the last hour or so to manage that. Sales will be going ahead, but we will be managing both hygiene at the facility, but also controlling numbers and managing those impacts. So there are, I suppose, a couple of examples of what we're doing across our key areas with libraries, NRLX, but obviously also, it's about our critical staff, our staff that operate our water treatment plants, our sewage treatment plants, operate our waste services. Our community needs those services to function. So we're very conscious of making sure we're looking after our staff in those areas, and where possible we have some contingencies in place. I know there's been discussions across councils in the Northern Rivers around backup IT support should that become necessary. So yeah, we're testing our business continuity plans and providing information, educating people, but trying to do it in a measured way, because we're certainly very conscious of the impact that this is having on businesses in our community. It's another hit. It's the fourth hit within sort of 12 months that we've had. So we're very mindful of that. The other thing, just on that front, for businesses, is that we actually have a visit tomorrow from one of the representatives of the National Bushfire Recovery Agency. So there's a session at the RSM at 11:30 tomorrow for businesses. That's been communicated to all of the chambers across the valley. We only found out about that on Monday, so we apologise for short notice, but that's the environment that we're operating in at the moment. So I just encourage people to get there. That is to have the opportunity to give feedback on the grants that are provided by the federal government, both for stimulus but bushfire recovery. So there is a lot happening. It's evolving quickly, and I suppose my message to staff has been, it's another hit, but we will continue to respond positively as we do with things. But the key for all of us is how we communicate. So we'll continue to do that. We've had regular radio interviews and other things that have needed to happen quickly, with obviously the loss of, the postponement of Primex and Beef Week. So yeah, a lot happening, but I'm confident that we're well placed. We've got good staff who are keen to get the job done.
Thanks very much. And I think a word that Robert used, as the Mayor used, is like about being kind and being caring, because we've got lots of organisations. We're a little fragmented with, for example, the schools are waiting for the departments to come down and advise them what to do. Myself, I'm waiting for the Community Broadcasting Association of Australia to come down and advise what we should be doing with Cow FM. So there's a lot of organisations, a lot of places within our community that we might need to assist a little further as well.
I know today also a couple of our local sporting or sports have postponed their seasons. I think that includes netball, I heard hockey, rugby league. So it's like, where's this going to stop? So I think what's happening is we're all stopping. And that's creating some concerns, obviously, for people's mental health and the economy. So it's across the spectrum. So yeah, we've got a tough period ahead, but we need to work together and shop local and look after each other, and we'll get through it.
Councillor Hay.
We may need to consider at the mayoral minute when we get to item 17.1 for the bushfire recovery expenditure too, because that involves things that might involve community gatherings, which may not be able to go ahead. Mm-hmm. So we need to consider that too.
Just to close, if there's no other comments or questions, the worrying part about this also is the time frame. We don't know how long it's going to go on for, but I think it's the 14th of June. It's been a date thrown around there, but what goes past that, we're coming into our winter. So, but let's hope that they can get on top of it. I know China actually rate is dropping, so maybe it will peak and slowly peter out. So all we can do is, as we've said, is get on with business the best we can, and just look after each other and care for each other. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Item 6, confirmation of the minutes. 6.1, can I get of the ordinary meeting held on the 18th of February? Can I get someone to move that, please?
Yeah, I'll move.
Councillor Hayes.
Second.
Councillor Cornish seconding. Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Matters arising out of those minutes. Has anyone got any matters? Item 7. No. Declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? You received any, Mr. General Manager?
No, Mr. Mayor, no.
Petitions nil. Notice of motions nil. Mayor's report. You have my Mayor's report on page 8. I'll move that. Seconder, Councillor Lyons. Any questions? I will say that my next Mayor's report will be more or less empty. I've had about 10 cancellations of events, and that just shows you how much is not happening in our community. And they're all from all different sizes events, right through to the big ones. So, and there's one that does worry me is Anzac Day. I just think there could have been in smaller country towns where there's not going to be many people, like Rappville or those places should have been allowed to go ahead, because I think that's something communities like that need. And you might have only had 40 or 50 people at it, but it's outdoors. So, but anyway, that's not my call. There's no questions. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Deleg's reports. We have 12.1 for the Rouse Water. Councillor Humphries.
Move that motion.
I'll second that. Any questions? Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Matters for determination. Do I have any matters? Sorry?
17.4, please.
Sorry?
17.4.
17.4.
(17.1).
17, sorry? Any others? I have 14.1, 16.1, 17.3. So that should leave to be adopted. 15.2, 17.2. That's it. Yep. Can I get a motion to move 15.2 and 17.2, please?
Moved.
Yeah, second.
Sorry, who seconded that? Councillor Hayes. Put that motion for 15.2 and 17.2 moved. Carried unanimously. To just call 14.1 because it could be deemed as a planning issue. So I just wanted to bring that out, but I'll move the motion. Can we get a seconder, please?
Second.
Hayes. Councillor Hayes. I'd just like to say that this gives this review gives a clear insight of the policy and outlines the functions of it. And I like on page 16 where it shows the development assessment panel's development principles. I think that outlays a good message to anyone coming to the community that wants to start up here or shows interest in investing into the Richmond Valley. I think that's a really good document to send the message out that we're keen to attract investment as long as it's environmentally and financially sustainable. And I'd just like to congratulate the staff, Mr General Manager, on this policy. I think it's been reviewed and looked at, and a few changes made, and I think it's where we need to be with it in the future. Any other speakers? Councillor
Thanks,
Humphries.
Mr Mayor. The process was always really important to make the developments as easy, that was always a common thread through all council and staff, that the process had to be as easy and as practicable as possible and also consistent. So that's what we're presenting now. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other speakers? I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. 15.1, councillor Hayes.
I'd like to add a dot point 3 to it if I can, please. Just get my page here. So 1 and 2 is written, but 3, review the leftover budget from the Stampane Oval Park by considering the toilet block at the Evans Head Cemetery, considering expenditure on the toilet block at the Evans Head Cemetery, as well as the leftover money to go towards the playground equipment at Lillypilly Park. Make sense?
Did you get that? Okay.
Yeah. So review. So review the leftover budget from the Stampane Oval Park, Stampane Oval Playground. You can see the toilet at the Eastwood Cemetery. And the park, Evanshead. Is that right?
Can I get a seconder for that?
Second.
Councillor Humphries. Councillor Hayes.
Okay, I understand by the report that the money that was the revised budget money to go to Stampane Oval Park, all that work's been completed, and what's not there has been budgeted for, which includes picnic tables and seating to come. And with the park renewals money, it gives us a total of $87,000, and it says here that the project description for that $87,000 is Lillypilly Park playground replacement. My view on the park around there, I haven't had a look at it closely, but that park is in reasonably condition. It's not that old, and it's. I think the money would be better spent at the Evans Head Cemetery, which was an expectation from the community when we moved money to the Stampane Oval in the first place. So I think that money should go back there if we can work towards getting the toilet at the cemetery, and then if there is any leftover money, then forward it on to Lillypilly Park renovations. I think the cost of the toilet at the cemetery was $50-something thousand at the time. I'm not sure on that. I haven't had time to sort of, but I'm thinking 50, so it's going to leave some for the park, if that's what council decides to do.
Just a question. How urgent is the Lillypilly Park upgrade for the swings? If they were dangerous, they may need to be replaced, but I just got any idea?
My assessment of the photos I was provided with this afternoon is it's certainly not dangerous, and I think a review is timely as to whether it's the highest priority park that needs to be upgraded across our assets.
Okay, thank you. Any other speakers?
Yes, I certainly support Councillor Hayes's item 3 and a review on the Lillypilly Park equipment. I'd also like to ask, just on page 21 with the waste management, we've got there that several projects are to be removed, and we've just stated there the impound shelter, the drum muster relocation and the glass stockpile removal. And I recall that at the last information session we were advised that the impound shelter will be put into future budgets. Are the other 2 items, will they also go into future budgets? The drum muster reallocation and the glass stockpile removal, will they both be moved forward? Or?
Yes, those funds go back into the waste reserve. There's been identified that they won't be completed in the current financial year. Just to confirm, the drum muster service is still available at our CRC, the Community Resource Community Recycling Centre, the CRC. Yeah, so that service remains available. Drum muster, that's an important service for chemicals and other things to go to that centre. So it was relocated, and that's why the money was put in the budget. But the relocation was achieved by our staff, so that funding wasn't required. That was just basically done in-house so achieved some efficiencies, which is a good outcome. So and obviously the similar with the shelter and the glass stockpile removal, that'll go back into their respective reserves because they've been identified that they're not to be completed in the current financial year.
Oh, thank you. And my other question, Mr Mayor, if I could just, still on that page down the bottom, just wanted to comment about the miracle product, the Terra 3000.
Miracle product. I hope it's the miracle that we all want for our gravel roads. That is obviously a problem. It's a serious problem we face through the drought. Is corrugations when it dries out. The corrugations came up. And we got a lot of feedback about corrugations, and here we were by early February. We were getting complaints about ruts in roads because of the floods. Just highlights whenever you got gravel roads. You get the vagaries at both ends. But hopefully this product helps bind our gravel roads together better, because obviously dust does become an issue that we do get feedback on. We're always looking at ways to improve our assets, and we'll try this product and give you some feedback on it.
Any other speakers? Councillor Hayes, like a reply?
No, I'd just like to thank the councillors for considering that, and we'll see what comes back with the report on the park.
Yep.
Thank you.
Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. 16.1 on page 31. We'll move that. Councillor Cornish. Councillors, I mainly call this because when I'm in Corokai I do get a lot of questions on when this facility will be built. So it's good to see that it's come to the tender stage, and it'll be moved on. And it's the way the caravan park is getting very well patronised. It's well overdue, and it'll be a very valued facility down there in that town. So could you give us a timeline? Do you think it could be finished by the Christmas holidays?
Just looking at our project management office manager, but he probably doesn't have the answer to hand. No, we don't have the answer to hand. Obviously now we've got tender, subject to your resolution. We'll then move into finalising design. Look, for risk of putting a time frame, it'd be nice if it was done well before Christmas. And I think, I don't know that for certain, but knowing where these things are at, obviously subject to, if it is AGS, they've obviously been doing quite a lot of work for us, depending on their work schedules and the delivery of some of our facilities. For example, the showground facility at the at the casino showground, also the facility they built at Woodburn Riverside, a 6-month build. So if they can move quickly to commencement, Christmas could be achievable, but I would need to check that with our team, which actually will be managed through our assets team, that job. So we'd have to check with them.
Okay.
But happy to, and I will, check in with that, because I think it's obviously an important piece of information that I'm sure the Corokai community will be very keen to find out about, and just to confirm that it will be located at the current location of the existing toilet amenities block.
It's just that I know it won't be achieved by Easter, of course, but I would hope that Christmas time it would be great, because I knew that, but I'm just saying the next big busy one will be Christmas, and it would be good if we could have it done by Christmas.
We'll set that as a target for the team. We'll see how we go.
The way things are, but who would know what will be achieved? Any other speakers?
Yeah, I'll just make comment that I think it's quite a timely project, and I think with the consistently high patronage rates at the park, I think it'll be a welcome addition and further promote Corokai and be a bit more inviting.
Thank you. Other speakers? Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. 17.1, general business, bushfire recovery assistance funding. Councillor Humphries.
Move that way, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, second.
Hayes seconding. Councillor Humphries.
Mr Mayor, I just believe that this is a really good, it's a good report, but we need to move on it. We need to make our decisions and we've got this money coming in. We need to move on working out deciding on what we do want to do, looking at all those submissions. It's a three-pronged. I divided it up into sort of three sections, the report itself, because we're talking about the bushfire recovery assistance money, and then towards the end, page 37, we've got the additional 250,000 from the Commonwealth State Disaster that we'll also be looking at, and then again we'll be having workshops about the $1 million drought assistance funds. So that's down the track, but at the moment we're to decide on the projects that we want to put forward. Two questions, one around Councillor Hayes' comment about the COVID-19, whether that will change any of the timeline on any of these, and two, Mr Uman's comment about considering assessing, whether council will be able to consider assessing their model into future processes. So if it's okay to have a comment on those two things, two items.
Mr General Manager. I'll just make a quick comment about we have to move on them. The process was held up a little bit because we went to public consultation, and you will recall that the second meeting was washed out at New Italy, so that had to be put back a couple of weeks. So
I didn't mean that as a negative.
No, I'm just saying
yeah.
that's what. But there are most probably people asking that question, but we that prolonged it more. But once we get this resolution through tonight, we can act on it straight away. Yep.
Oh, and the other point to make is we had 3 months to report back to the federal government, and we are still within that time frame. So we'll meet that deadline for this, and that's similar with the drought. We had 3 months from when that declaration was done, and as long as we resolve that at the April meeting, we'll meet that deadline as well. As far as those two questions around events, obviously one of the events that we have identified here is a music festival. The date that we have in mind for that is around October. That's certainly been what we identified prior to probably what's happened in the last 5 days of changing events and programs, and there are going to be quite significant changes to events calendars, so we'll have to revisit that, but we would certainly envisage that not being until spring, and hopefully by then we've all got through this disruption from COVID-19. The other question around the CDAC, business model, that's something that we certainly build into. We as with any of the, we're sort of in an after-action review process from the bushfires at the moment, and now we're moving into the next one, emergency. So we're sort of, but from those things, we'll certainly identify. And I think the thing for me out of the work that the volunteer and community groups have done is that something I really noticed through the bushfire process is that there are many people in our community, I'm sure in many communities, who are more comfortable having a chat with people from the community. Sometimes when new people come in from government agencies and and even ourselves, from council, that's not the first people that some people want to have a chat with. So I think having some sort of a service where they can just engage with people who live in our community, who are part of community groups, they're in a better position, I think, to find out, what are your needs. People feel more comfortable. So if that's a service that can provide to support and complement what we do and what the disaster welfare people did and everyone else who's supported the community, from 8 of October last year onwards, that's a good thing. So we'll certainly look to build it in. It's really a matter of being able to activate it quickly. We've now got the model in place now. Some will say, it is later than ideal, but I think the important thing is it's there, and we can now roll it out the next time much more quickly. And we'll also have people in the community, volunteers who've been trained in what it is and how to provide that service. So certainly something that we'll build into our plans.
Thank you. So I certainly would congratulate John and the teams of organisations within our community that have put that together, and as you said, to complement each other and then to cut down the duplication. I support the recommendation totally. Very grateful for the $1.4 million from the federal government, but as the report says, it's a challenge. Like having received the money, council is faced with a challenge on deciding we've got to meet the criteria and the main aims that are also in the report. I felt that the submissions that we received, very grateful to receive so many, and I divided them up. I thought, well, there were many that were concerned about the people that were directly hit by the disaster. And then we had more people in our community that were thinking a little bit more out of the box and concerned about the community pulling together as one again, together. And then as I was informed at the information session, there are some items that we had for the submissions that will be looked after, should be looked after by other organisations. So I guess the variety and the diversity of the submissions really impressed me. I think that the recommendations actually reflect that we're doing essential rebuilds, we're upgrading where we can, and I think that's huge. That's a really big opportunity and a bonus. We're not just going to go, well, look, you had that and here it is. We're going to add value add wherever we can, and I really like the fact that we're putting in some community things for our communities as well. So supporting it in its entirety. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Councillor Hayes?
Yeah, I'd just like, look, I fully agree that with the recommendation and where the money's going, I think that's all fine. The discussions around Rapville and the recovery are out there. Every time you talk, we go to meetings, we do the stuff, we do all that stuff. Always comes up about the tarmac sawmill. Is there any information out there? Is it going to get up and get running again? Because I'm a bit worried. We spend all this money, we get footpaths in place, we redo the hall, we do all that stuff. How can we as a council follow on to make sure that there's employment in that town for people to be able to rebuild? And I think that sawmill is starting back up again is a major player. And if there's any way that we can help that happen through grants or this business thing that's happening on Thursday, is that right? That we should encourage them to get involved if they're not already involved. I think it's something that we need to do.
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Councillor Hayes. Yeah, look, the tarmac sawmill, as anyone in the Rapville community and surrounds knows how important that mill is to that area. We've been in discussions with the owners of the tarmac mill from the get-go, really, to find out whether they needed assistance. They've been very much self-sufficient. They had insurance and they've got insurance in place. So we've been in regular contact with them. They've been working through their insurance process. Obviously, it was a very big mill, lots of equipment, and from what we understand, a very complicated, detailed insurance assessment process, of which we understand that is still going ahead. We've, through our economic development team, are in regular communication with them and basically have said to them, when you're ready to make your decision, obviously everyone in this community wants you to rebuild. When you're ready, talk to us and we will make sure that any discussions that you need to have, whether that be with our state government politicians, whether it's Forestry Corporation, because supply of timber's an issue for everyone in the industry given the impacts. So we're really doing everything we can to facilitate them investing back in our area. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer as to whether that's whether and when that's likely to happen, other than to say the offer stands for them to work with us, and we'll put them in front of whoever they need to or want to be put in front of to get support from government to rebuild. One of the things which is one of the reasons we're doing the master plan, which we have commenced, which is in this list, is to identify the opportunities for Rapville Village in particular. Is there the opportunity for increased residential development? Is there opportunity for some industrial land to be opened up in the vicinity? Is there opportunity for rural residential? So that work is happening. We're hoping to have a draft concepts of that within about a week, so that we can move that forward. One of the key decisions, which is in our bushfire recovery plan that will guide which way that goes, is whether we get funding support from the New South Wales government or the federal government for a sewage treatment plant, a small one, but that would enable the village to go from the 30 residences that were there prior to the fire to potentially something larger, 60, 100 homes, with a system similar to what we have at Riley's Hill. So it's a key decision to, you're rightly in raising, it's about a key decision about justifying investing money back into Ratville, rebuilding pedestrian paths, rebuilding the hall. We need more people to make that town more viable than it was prior to the fire, so that we've got a pub that is a sustainable business, as an example. So, and there might be other businesses that set up too. So that's why we've got the master plan. We've got on with that. It's one of the items in this report. But it is an important point. It's something that we are talking and highlighting with any of the agencies and politicians that come near us. Is invest back into Ratville, and therefore we need a bit of support to do that, so that more people can live out there.
One more on New Italy, on the museum, the $100,000 that's going out there. Is there any restrictions on the use of that money, or is it just a handout and then they get to decide what they actually do to that hall in the facilities? Do we get any more involvement, or is that?
Yeah, it won't be just handing over dollars. It will be having some further discussions with them and about where that money goes to. I know there was talk about some emergency water supplies, some improvements to the community hall. Certainly the feedback we had from that, which you were at, Councillor Hayes, was if that community hall, for example, could have a kitchen added to it, it may be then more available or more, and I suppose entice more people in the community to use it. The museum committee have said that that's available for the community. I suppose it just needs to be set up for functions and those things a bit better. So whether it's that or the water enhancement, we'll have discussions with them. One of the other things we're looking at, which came from that meeting, is the Swan Bay New Italy Road and Forest Road as the access to the mountain bike park. That's something we'll consider with the drought money, is improving the standard of that access and increasing the level of service on it, because again the feedback there was that bike park is very important to the community there. They recognise its value. So if there's something we can do to improve access to that, that's a good thing. We're working as a result of that with pushing State Forests really to get that park reopened so that it can, the trails can be cleared and people can get back in there. So it's another example that there's still plenty of recovery work to be done.
Any other speakers? I'll just make a couple of points that on page 35 and 36, the amount of dot points there from the consultation, it's just good to see what people are thinking out there in the community. It's good feedback. All of those can't be brought into this program because there's not enough funding there, but just some of the ideas there, it just tells you what our community want and they need. And I'll mention the New Italy mountain bike trail. There's $50,000 there to help them rebuild. They were totally burnt out, and that is a major attraction down around the New Italy area. They have over 300 riders sometimes, and I just think that needs to be rebuilt to get that area going and bring a bit of tourism into it. And also the money is being spread through the area. I know there will be some other drought money coming soon, and that can go into some other projects. But I'm very happy with what's been achieved here, and the good thing is about it, a lot of it's come from the community itself, and we're allocating money to what they require. Just a couple of points there was, is it the money, are we spending money and maybe Ratville won't be rebuilt? Well, I can just honestly say if we don't spend that money, it will not rebuilt. So the money needs to go there to give it a real good chance and give it some oxygen to come back to life. Councillor any other speakers? Councillor Humphries? Right.
No, thank you.
Put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. 17.3 on page 40. I'll move that recommendation. Can I get a second, please?
Yeah, I'll
Councillor
second.
Hayes. Councillor, this has been a while coming and out into the public, and a lot of consultation. There was a lot of ideas and projects put forward by the community. Some were unachievable because it's the Dirrawong Reserve, and there wasn't the room for the others. But I'm very happy with this master plan. It gives us a chance now, if government funding does come ahead, that we have got a project shovel ready to go with a master plan with a few tweaks. So I'm pleased that the Marine Rescue we've found 2 car spots for them. I think that was a necessity, and where they are, they will not be taking up any other car park from people who need to drive through can't get out of their car. So I think it's a good plan. It suits a lot of people, and there'll be a lot more picnic areas and viewing areas around the Razorback. So thank you, Mr. General Manager. I think the staff have done a very good job of putting this together. Any other speakers? No? Well, I'll move that recommendation. Carried. We now move to 17.4, Councillor Lyons.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to approve this, the recommendations, but I just felt that it was important to just mention that...
Councillor Lyons, I need a mover, please.
A mover?
A second. Did you move?
Yeah, I moved.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second.
Sorry.
Second, Hayes? Okay. Councillor Lyons.
Thank you. So I'm happy to accept the recommendation, but I just wanted to say that I've still got some serious concerns about the governance plan. I have read it through. As you're well aware, I was part of the process and that. But it still comes across as just having some band-aid solutions. We've got over 100 years of degradation that's been done to our river system. And there doesn't seem to be any recurrent budget of any worth that's being put aside to actually implement any real strategies to start repairing the Richmond River. Which is quite disappointing when there's been so much money already spent on a number of reports. The other thing that I have concerns of is that if this plan doesn't begin, in essence, to actually, we get a commissioner or a coordinator that oversees it and starts working on this, where's that going to leave the Richmond River? But more importantly, are we going to come back to this in another 5 years, 10 years, and start spending more money to redo yet another final report? So it'd be good to sort of see if maybe we could maybe there's something in the recommendation that states that if there isn't a starting point with this plan, that if it comes up to council in the future to again be asked to put money out to fund another report, could there be something there that says, well, we've already got this and we need to use what we've already got? Because we've got 2 reports, one that came out in 2015 and now this one, that are actually stating pretty much the same thing, except the new one has included Kyogle and the upper reaches of the Richmond River catchment, which is fantastic. But it would be just disappointing to think we've had $160,000 spent on these, however much it was spent on 2015's report, and then in 5 years' time we're back to the drawing board. So I don't know how to word that or if it's necessary, but other than that, I think we need to sort of look at repairing or doing something for the Richmond River sooner than later, but that's going to be difficult with everything else that's going on.
Councillor Lyons, I agree 100%. Sometimes studies are done for study's sake. This, I think, is a way forward. This study wasn't done to find dollars. It was to look at the avenues they can go down in the future for the river, give it better health. But I think this recommendation, if if we do get a government agency to get involved, you will get government money. That's never occurred before. It's always been, well, it was unknown who was looking after the health of the river. This does identify and give some recommendations of ways to go ahead. And as I said, if the government take responsibility, it'll be up to them to fund it, because if a council takes responsibility, the government will just say, well, it's over to you, it's your baby, and they won't fund it. We all know about cost shifting in local government, and that will occur. So I think the recommendation does set it up for a future, if we can get a government agency to take it on. Any other speakers? Mr. General Manager, did you want to comment, or you're right? Okay.
Just to say that obviously once once the resolution's passed, we'll communicate that back to the relevant agencies as to council's position on it and what the governance model we support.
You want to close, Councillor Lyon? Oh, sorry, Councillor Hayes.
Look, I support the recommendation as it's written, and I think that's what you called. But look, I really think the amount of money that needs injected into the river to bring it up to standard is something that we're never going to get as a council anywhere near it. And to go back to state government, it's about the only way that the issue can be progressed. So I think the recommendation follows that line, and let's just see what happens.
Mr Mayor, if I could say, over the last couple of months, I actually have more confidence in this model than I had previously. We spoke about this at Rouse at the last meeting, and I actually, on that day, was prepared to move this. The recommendation was the same as this, and say to the staff, get this away, get this off, and let's get cracking on this. During the meeting, we were advised that we were given another month's reprieve to get our recommendation back to the body. So Rouse is actually workshopping this again tomorrow. So I'm, goodness knows what will come out of that. I do still support. I'll be going, to listen and with an open mind, but I will be going still supporting this actual recommendation, because I too believe that without the government, New South Wales, the government involved, that's where the money net is. So, yeah. So I will be, I do have a little more confidence than I had a couple of months ago.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Lyons, like to reply?
No, just thank you for passing on comments to Rouse and the other agencies.
Thank you. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Now move to page 46, matters for information. Item 18, can I get a mover, please? Councillor Hayes, seconded Councillor Humphries. Any questions on discussions on the matters for information?
In the development applications, there's one there for...
What page are you on?
Oh, what are we at there? Page 47. Just get it up myself. Go to page 51, 52, I think is it? 52. 1, 2, 3, fourth one down there. Applicant was Newton Denny Chappelli. New World Foods, $2 million investment. What are they proposing they're doing there? What's the New World Foods?
Mr. General Manager.
So it's a new large shed, storage type facility, I think some cold storage. So yeah, significant investment. They obviously are looking at efficiencies. They sort of have to transport, or my understanding is they have to transport some of their product into other areas within town. So it's a new shed facility on the site on Foy Street. So they've lodged a DA and have committed to investing into casino and keeping that business in casino. So it's a good result.
Yeah, no, it's good. Thank you.
It's a very good outcome. And it's great to see that they'll be investing in our community and have some jobs here for years to come. It's good.
I think they provide about 60 jobs. So obviously one of the larger industries and job businesses in town. So they were obviously considering their options, came and had a chat with us, and they've had a fairly a good process with the DA process. We're just currently, I think we're about to get hopefully a construction certificate, so they move forward. So obviously coronavirus throws an uncertainty into, well, as it has with everything, but obviously challenges with beef product and exports. Meatworks are facing the same challenges, so hopefully that doesn't stop progress.
Has anyone else got any items in matters for information? No, I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried, unanimous. Item 19, questions on notice. This was question from Councillor Lyons at the last meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Lyons.
Second.
Councillor Cornish. You happy with those answers, Councillor Lyons?
Yes, I'd just like to say thank you for that and appreciate the answers. Thank you.
Thank you. No one other speakers? Put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Questions for the next meeting in writing on page 67. Any questions in writing? Nope. 21. Need a recommendation to go into closed council. I'm going to move it. Councillor Lyons, seconder.
Second.
Councillor Humphreys. Mr General Manager, has there been any written representation made regarding this meeting going into closed council? If so, could you read the representation, please?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I have received one representation against going into closed council. That's from Dr Richard Gates as President of the Evans Head Memorial Aerodrome Committee Incorporated. So I'll just read that out to council. So addressed to the General Manager, received today, states refer to the following matter contained in today's agenda for the council meeting, being this item. Unfortunately, I'm unable to attend the meeting to address the issue because of another commitment, but my committee objects to this matter being considered behind closed doors, notwithstanding refuge behind Section 10 of the Local Government Act. There is no report whatsoever about this matter available to the public. In our view, it is not good enough to just state that the matter is about an existing contract for sale of the aerodrome, a matter which has been outstanding for many years now without resolution. There is no mention of the extensive caveats over the aerodrome, nor of a previous legal case regarding the caveats. There are many other matters in the public interest which should be considered in open council. Council has an obligation to keep us informed, but has, in our view, failed to do so. It is my committee that prepared the successful application for state heritage listing. We are stakeholders. Why are we not kept informed? We object to this matter going to a closed meeting of council.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. Are there any verbal representations from the members of the public? Mr General Manager, this item complies with Section 10A of the Local Government Act?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Any speakers? I'll put this motion. All those in
Can I ask
favour?
a question on the objection, please?
Sorry?
The objection that comes in, does it has to be formalised through a committee, through a series of minutes or something before that they can actually get to that stage? So the
well,
committee's objecting, but it's coming...
We can only take the letter as it's submitted.
As it's written.
Yep, that's all we can do.
Right.
Okay. Okay, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I'd like the gallery to leave, please. We are now in closed committee. Thank you very much for your attendance. And there will be, the resolution will be read after closed committee is completed. Thank you. Mr General Manager, could you read the resolution of closed council, please?
So the resolution for item 21.1 titled Evans Head Aerodrome Existing Contract for Sale is that, first point, Council authorise the General Manager to take appropriate action regarding the contract for sale of the land, generally in accordance with the details considered by Council. Second point, Council authorise the General Manager to enter into and endorse relevant documents, including affixing the seal of Council where appropriate, generally in accordance with the details considered by Council. And the third point, a report be brought back to Council on the progress of this matter at key points.
Thank you, Mr General Manager, and thank you everyone for your attendance, and everyone have a safe trip home and be kind to everyone. Remember, wash your hands.